is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin' Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
First down, handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Buried, sacked by Lawrence. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
And a happy Monday to you after another victory over the Washington Redskins 31-21 on Sunday. It is a victory Monday here at the Star in Frisco, and the Cowboys are 2-0, going on 3-0, going on 4-0. Stop it.
Stop, Bill.
We can't go there.
Yep.
It's got to stay with today, okay?
Stay with today.
It's get better today.
Day by day by day.
That's
by
right.
Day.
But there is a lot of news to get to, not only with this football team, but around the league as we get started on this Monday morning. How was your weekends?
Great.
It's always good when the Cowboys come away with a victory on Sunday.
And you get home by 9 o'clock.
Get home early, get your work done.
Yep.
Good stuff.
Division game, 2-0.
That's right.
You put the Redskins in a big hole now.
All alone in first place in the NFC East right now.
There you go. Just kind of keep going. Find a way. Keep winning.
Yep.
Things
And
take care of
don't
themselves.
get ahead of yourself.
That's right. Exactly
You
right.
think people might be now?
Oh, you think?
A little bit.
you
I'm
get it-
seeing it.
If you got 2 Twitter followers, you'd figure that out by now,
No
right?
doubt about it.
16-0, here we come.
Yeah.
Well, for sure 3-0, here we come.
Well, there's that floating around, and now you got Drew Brees in 2 weeks, who's out for New Orleans, and yeah, people are starting to look way ahead. So
Yep.
Jason Garrett's got a message he's got to give if he thinks the players need it.
Yeah. And I think this is a veteran enough team now, and it's so recently in their past that they were sitting there at 3-5 last year.
I agree.
That I think that he doesn't have to give that message.
And that's why, as he said this morning, you just worry about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's all you can do.
Worry about anything else.
Yep.
You worry about yourself.
But to bring you up to speed on what Rob alluded to, Drew Brees has the ligament damage in his right thumb, and he's out at least the next 6 weeks, which obviously puts him out 2 weeks from last night when the Cowboys will head to New Orleans, be in New Orleans to play the Saints. And the other breaking news around the NFL right now is Ben Roethlisberger is out for the year. He needs elbow surgery.
Like a Tommy John type of a situation
There you
there.
go. Yep.
Yeah.
So be thankful that you have come out of the Week 2 game in relatively good health. But let's, I guess, start there with Antoine Woods. What do we know on Antoine
sprained
Woods?
medial collateral ligament, and they'll have an MRI today to see just how serious it is. But normally when you hear that, it's 2 to 4 weeks, usually closer to 4. So Christian Covington, here you go.
Yeah, and they were also waiting to an MRI on Michael Gallup.
Yeah.
So haven't heard anything about that this morning. When I was down in the breakfast area eating, and he walked in. He looked like he was walking fine.
He was fine. He sat in front of me on the bus last night from going to the airport, and he hopped off the bus and walked to the airport. So a lot of times, if you're long as you're going straight with an MCL, you're great.
Yeah.
It's when you got a cut. So we'll see where that one is.
Christie scales from the sidelines. I guess maybe it was a helmet that bumped his knee.
Oh, it was actually a contusion.
Yeah. And they were,
Contusion.
late in the game, they weren't. The game was in hand for the most part. Tyrone Crawford's another guy too that played limited snaps in the second half. He's dealing with that hip still, and so they were. Robert Quinn's coming back at a good time because we'll see how Tyrone goes through this week, and obviously Antoine's status. They were trying to shuffle things around in the defensive line with Kerry Hyder moving inside, Lawrence Armstrong playing some more in. So it's nice to have a veteran rusher coming back off suspension this week.
It's funny. I talk about one of the great things about living here like we do is that I got to see Robert Quinn walk in. He had his shoulder pads and helmet in his hand. He was carrying them. I said, "That's an unusual briefcase you have there." And he goes, "Oh yeah, but to me, that's one of those things where you're thinking, well, Robert Quinn took his pads with him, in the time that he was off, that he was trying to get in some condition, much like we've talked about with Sean Lee in the past. Sean Lee always goes out there and works out in full pads when he's doing the cords or something like that. So Robert Quinn said, you know what, I'm going to probably take my pads home with me and practice a little bit and try and get himself in condition with the heat and things like that around here.
Because the nature of that suspension, he wasn't allowed to be around.
Wasn't allowed to be around at all.
And the coaches couldn't be in touch with him. The training staff could, or the medical people could.
Because of his hand.
So maybe he also took him to Cabo with him. What do you think?
Yeah. His pads? Well, he had him in hand. I said, that's an unusual briefcase you travel with. He says, everywhere I go, I take these. So that's kind of his thing. Yeah.
Interesting. And it's been plenty hot around here. He can get in great shape
Absolutely.
around here.
I was at least told that the hand should be fine. That should not be a problem. And it's a matter of conditioning and knowing him. They feel like he'll be ready to go.
All right, well, we got plenty of time this week to talk about these 0-2 Dolphins who have been outscored by, 102-10 their first two games.
That would be 92 points.
Yeah. And that's ties, I believe, an NFL record for
2 games.
For 2 games.
Does it really?
Whoa. I'm not sure if it's the first 2 games of a season or any 2 games back to back. I mean, it's just so unusual in the NFL to have that situation going on. So plenty of time to talk about that. Let's talk about what happened on Sunday and go around the horn here. What were your big impressions from Sunday, Brian?
I tell you what, I thought the pass protection was outstanding in this game. Because I felt like that one of the chances that the Redskins had was, we said, they got to stop the Cowboys got to stop the run, but the pass rush or the lack of it for the Redskins, I thought was a big part of this game, and really the Cowboys were the ones that did it to them. Travis Frederick being back in the middle has really solidified things up front. Connor Williams wasn't as bad as everybody thought he might have been. He got beat on the sack, and it was bad. But, it wasn't a terrible game for him overall. I mean, you grade with linemen, you have to grade all the plays. And he had a couple of them where he was really questionable. But other than that, I felt like he played okay. Tyron Smith was outstanding next to him. And then Lyle Collins having to deal with Ryan Kerrigan, I thought did a really nice job handling that situation as well. So, give that group a lot of credit for the success they've had. Dak Prescott ways getting the ball out of his hand, getting to these receivers. But that offensive line did a good job of playing against a front that has much better pass rushers than what they faced last week.
Brian's right. It starts up front. The one sack Dak got, he blamed himself for it. And so overall, pass protection really good. For me, it's a mix of kind of new and old with this offense. They have so much dangerous options at their receiving core and their tight ends as well, guys that can really stretch the field. They're testing guys deep, but it's also a familiar sight when you see Zekiel Elliot get back to what he's doing best. And I thought that 15-yard run he had in I think it was the series where Dak got picked off was like, okay, that's a Zeke run. He's back carrying 2 guys with him. And then that last touchdown drive they had where they chewed up 6 minutes. He touches the ball 5 times in the fourth quarter. They go up 31-14, and they're just wearing teams down. That's their identity, in addition to all these Sky Wars, whatever you want to call it, Mick.
Absolutely, Sky Wars, because you got so many receivers that are capable of playing in this game. You sit there and say, okay, I'm going to take away Amari Cooper. All right, what are you going to do with Gallup? And if you're going to try to double both of the outside guys, Randall Cobb will carve you up inside. And, if somebody needs a break, Devin Smith, here I am. After going through 2.5 years of trying to recover from 2 torn ACLs on the same knee, comes out and shows not only can he still run and get deep, Josh Norman, by the way. You ought to worry about yourself more than the opposing quarterback, maybe. He can also run slant passes, and he's a pretty darn good receiver. So when you can bring in a guy like that as your 4th guy, with Tavon Austin out, you've got so many ingredients on offense that you can hurt teams with, not to mention what Rob said about also being able to run the ball. It's interesting because it seemed like from the beginning the Redskins were like, no, Zeke, you're not going to beat us. And then they finally got it going after that interception, throwing the football, then running the football. And as Brian said, the offensive line in 2 games now, Dak's only been sacked 1 time after 56 sacks last year.
Yeah, well, you also got to give the defense a lot of credit, too, for getting off the field on 3rd down, too.
Yep.
I went back and watched all the 3rd down plays just back to back to back, and a lot of the key plays, Woods and also the plays that he made. Byron Jones, the tackle he made, Van Der Esch on the third down play on the outside when they threw it to Thompson and he's running in the flat. Those are big, huge plays. To get off the field. You've got a lot of those were just one-on-one plays. That Byron Jones play, where they throw the ball to Richardson and they're dragging. He's picked. He's clearly picked, and he fights through the pick, and it's really not even his man. He goes all the way across the field and to make this tackle and really hold the tackle for no gain. When Richardson caught that ball, I thought, this is going to be a first down. But he was able to run over there and make the tackle and actually hold him to no gain. So, give Byron Jones a lot of credit, but give the third down defense, whether they're playing nickel, whether they're playing dime, give them a lot of credit for the way that they've handled themselves, at least these last 2 weeks.
4 of 20 on third down. These first two.
You said
opponents.
that on the final take, right?
Yeah, 2 of 9.
First take, yeah.
2 of 9. Washington was in this game, and every morning I get up and I peruse the mailbag and I send Brian a couple questions, and it's usually kind of what's wrong,
Yeah.
and I think the fans they want to see a little bit more from the defense, but the defense, these guys want to see more from themselves as well. But if you really go back and look at it, they're not allowing much. It was a late touchdown drive by Washington. Mick pointed out to me on the plane before that drive, they're under 200 total yards.
Yeah.
They're doing a nice job, and they gave up some plays early, but I think they settled down and did a nice job defensively.
I know what they're doing on those last touchdown drives and games at the end. You don't want anything going over the top, but you can't give up that much space. But as Rob said, I think I figured out up until that touchdown drive, they had given up 185 yards, 14 points. Take that every day of every week,
especially when your offense is putting up 30 plus. It's they went down and scored early, but they kind of settled down and they got to stop the run. Peterson had one good series, that first one, and then after that they basically shut him down.
I felt like that the only chance that Washington really had winning this game was maybe to shorten it. And then but I talked to somebody on Saturday around the league, and they said Jay Gruden's not smart enough to shorten the game. He blatantly said, well, this is because what's your thought for this game? I said, I think Jay Gruden's short. He goes, Gruden's not smart enough to shorten this game. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe not. But, yeah, they did a great job. When you talk about the linebackers, the fits, you guys had a chance to visit with Chris Richard, he was talking about run fit, gap control, all that stuff. That's how you need to play run defense, and they did a really nice job. I think the tone was set very early in that game with Malik Collins getting up the field the way he did, beating the block of the center and then getting in the backfield and making it a -4 on the carry. So it kind of got everybody going. Okay, we're here to play run defense today, and that was a big key for them.
They didn't make it a priority going forward because they were in 3 wide receiver basically every snap. And so if that's the way you want to play, okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then that minimized having Adrian Peterson in the game because they went with Thompson.
Yeah.
And what was the other little
Wendell
guy?
Smallwood.
Yeah. So, and then they started handing it off to wide receivers, and, it's like, okay, fine, go ahead. Be cute.
Yeah.
Well, and that's I guess that they feel like that's their calling card in Jay Gruden's offense is not to establish the run. And
I don't quite. Maybe I'm too old school about this, but I felt like that the Cowboys did a great job. And you handing the ball 23 times to Zekiel Elliot for 111 yards. That's great football to me right there.
And I like the way they finished the game with him.
And the fact that there was a point in that game where they took him out basically a whole series and put
third quarter
and put Pollard in there. And now what do you got? Now you got a fresher Zekiel Elliott if you're having to make those runs, if you're having to get those tough yards, if you're having to grind out first downs. He's a fresher player for it. And, I'm all for them. I understand people, the Sky Wars offense and all that. I get that, and I say that tongue-in-cheek with Mickey. But, to me, football is about taking your will and imposing it on the other team, offensively and defensively. And this team, as well as they're throwing the ball here with all these weapons, there's still the ability to run the football and run it effectively. I think will pay dividends down the road. They're going to get in some games where it's not going to be a double-digit lead, and they're going to have to grind it out on the end. And Zekiel Elliott doing that, he's worth every penny to me when it comes to that type of play. If I can get that from him, if I get 111 yards on 23 carries every week, by God, it's worth every dime that I just spent.
And they ran it successfully without hardly using the fullback. I think Wally played 8 plays
right,
with not doing much to tight end. They were running the ball out of 3 wide receivers.
Yeah.
And then they if you want to start overloading, okay, here comes the end around with Randall Cobb. And, don't forget, Dak Prescott can still run the ball too.
Yeah.
So it's like I surprised the guys this morning when they were talking about, this new Cowboy offense slinging it around. I said, so you're going to be surprised that they threw the ball 30 times and ran the ball 34 times.
Right.
It wasn't like everything was just zipping the ball around. Right. They were being very judicious on what they did.
This is very much Cowboys, the team that Mickey covered in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And trust me, I was on the other end of the field when you have so many weapons you have to defend. And then all of a sudden, the defense is not as good, I don't think, as the defense that was in the 90s. I think it has possibilities to be as good, but it's not right now. But you're talking about how you build a lead and then finish games, and that's what they've been able to do. They finish these games, especially this last game, running the football, being physical, and then just kind of wearing the Redskins out, and that's what they did.
How many times have we seen them do that with Zeke? I mean, he said it after the game, step on their throat, and running backs coach Gary Brown went to him in the third quarter and said, we need you fresh for the fourth.
There's no question.
Tony Pollard did a nice job, and probably he should have scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
Nice
job.
He
wouldn't have because
that whole
fair enough. That whole stuff. But anyway,
between the tackles, it was a nice run.
They drove the field with Pollard in there. I mean, they went almost like they didn't miss a beat. Yeah. He did a nice job.
And one of the key drives of the game was the 4-minute offense, which you're talking about, at the end of the first half.
Right.
Where it's a 7-7 game.
And they're getting the ball to start the second half,
and they're
which
getting
was
the ball
even better.
Yeah. And that game was playing out to that point the way, even if it may have been by accident for the Redskins, it may not have been their plan, but it was playing out the way you suggested that was their best chance of winning the game.
Right.
And because the Cowboys' offense was not clicking early in the game, give credit to the Redskins for that too. But so it's a 7-7 game, and they get the ball with 4.5 minutes left in the half, and I'm counting the Zeke runs. It was Zeke +2. It was incomplete. It was a big third down conversion to Cobb. Zeke +1. And he's not getting a lot of yards, but they're establishing Zeke, okay? Cooper for 8, and Dak had the 42-yard run. Now you got Zeke for 9, Zeke for 1. You get Zeke for another 1, whatever.
But you're handing him the ball.
Exactly. And they have to respect that.
Right.
Right. And so I just think that was that. And again, getting the ball and being able to drive the length of the field once again to start the second half.
It was a 97-yard drive, though. I mean, not before the first half. That was a 97. They get punted down to their own end. They have a penalty that takes them all the way back to the 5-yard line, and then they have to come off the goal line, and they're just trying to get first downs. But then here they are, they just hit some big plays. This offense is just so hard to deal with, especially if the ball is coming out of the quarterback's hands that fast. That's something that I think you have to, with Prescott, he's seeing the field, ball coming out of his hand, receivers getting open. Give Kellen Moore a lot of credit for this too, and Sanjay Lyle, for the way that these combinations of these routes, the way that they're running the curls, the way they're running the slants, the way their play-action game gets the ball out of their hands quick, and before the defense has a chance to even react. They had the Redskins on their heels, really, that until after the interception. I mean, the Redskins were really, really real in playing defense yesterday.
And even on the goal line when they scored on that drive, the pass to Witten, that was one of the few times they lined up with 2 tight ends. And they had 2 guys manning up on Jarwin and Witten, and Jarwin just ran between them. The guy on Charles Davis said, it was a natural pick. He didn't pick anybody. He just went straight between them, and Witten cuts on behind, and the linebacker couldn't get out there.
Well, and the rookie linebacker Holcomb was on him.
Yeah.
And I'm taking Witten in that matchup. As good
and he
as
probably
I think
never seen anything like that before.
The ball was in a perfect spot.
That's the other thing that
Prescott,
Dak is doing.
Yeah, that ball was right where it needed to be. Witten had to make no adjustments other than putting his hands out and reliably catching it and then getting in the end zone.
I mean, you realize he completed 86% of his passes?
18 straight at one point. The record was 20.
21. But Whedon's, I think, was over 2 games or
yeah,
so.
Brandon
Maybe
Whedon played
3.
a few more games than that. I mean, how many throws can you say he's made that he's just missed?
Whedon's were 5-yard dump offs too.
that too.
Mickey, did you ask Gallup what happened? Did you get a chance to talk to him? Did you ask him what happened?
No, but I heard what Jason Garrett explained it a little bit.
Talking about the deep ball that went down the left side.
Yeah, and they
was a
said
weird coverage.
Norman played it differently than normal.
Right.
And Gallup was trying to get to the inside, and Dak saw where Norman was, and he says, I got to throw it to the outside.
That's what I thought.
And then Gallup had turned. He was ready to get this way, and then he couldn't get around to go that way.
Once he turned back the other way to his left, that knocked him off balance. I mean, it was a weird coverage it was like it was floating, and there was so much space. And I was wondering, I was thinking, well, man, when I watched it, I thought, well, Gallup's supposed to get closer to the sidelines, but he's trying to run. He's trying to run at Norman, but Norman is taking this big loop. And now it's like, okay, I'm just going to try and beat him. But Prescott threw it to where he thought he probably needed to be. But yeah, it's unfortunate, that they missed that connection because they had Gallup open on that one. That could have been another big play for him.
The interesting thing and I wrote it in my column on the Devin Smith 51-yarder when they ran the post. I was talking to Kellen Moore, and he said, "Yeah, we had that play in, but we didn't run it. We didn't want to run it early." He goes because Kerrigan would be fresh.
Yeah.
We were hoping if we waited, maybe the game tired him out. And he goes, and we wanted it on the left hash, so Kerrigan had more space to worry about to his outside.
Yeah.
And he has to maybe run further to get to the quarterback. And so it just so happened that was supposed to be Gallup's play. And they gave him a break, and Devin Smith just happened to be in the game. And
he set it up nice, though.
And I thought he showed he can run.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny, too. Mickey, that's a great insight right there because they only rushed 3 on the play. They rushed 3, dropped 8, and it was – I'll tell you what, the routes inside pulled both safeties up, and then nice job by Smith of leaning on Norman to get him outside. And then once he went to the break, Norman had no chance. Norman used to be able to run, and he couldn't run.
The safety
Nicholson he jumped the route underneath the Cobb, and then they jumped another route. Landon Collins jumped the route. So they ran 2 inside and then 1 to the post. And so here you are clearing space. Nice job there by them to get that.
And both safeties were kind of cheating up to start with. They weren't really deep. But you know what? If you want to play single safety high, go ahead and take your chance.
Yeah.
Because these guys can run.
And that's the combination of routes that you're talking about, too, where you're able to work off of something else and get deep like that.
Yep.
All right, we got much more Talking Cowboys still to come on a Victory Monday at the Star.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not too...
It's right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus!
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2018.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Work the Cowboys way and channel the winning business tradition of the Dallas Cowboys and the Jones family at Formation. This dynamic workspace provides an elevated work experience on the Star's aspirational campus with exclusive membership options available to meet varying needs. Choose from open workspaces, dedicated desks, and private offices to leverage our home field advantage for your individual business success. Limited memberships are available now, so apply today at formationatthestar.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys live at AT&T Stadium on Sunday as they take on the Miami Dolphins. Get your tickets now at DallasCowboys.com. It is a noon kickoff on CBS this week. Wonder if they wouldn't send Nance and Romo to Cowboys Dolphins, would they?
Why not? Why not?
Well, it's
offense is rolling.
But I tell you what, CBS doesn't get very many opportunities to do a Cowboys game.
Why I was thinking
and
that,
so, but usually a noon game they don't, and I have to look at the schedule to see what else they've got.
Do they have a national game at 3?
They probably do. I'll have to look at the schedule. But this is America's team. I mean, and you got Tony Romo, who's becoming America's analyst, with a chance to do a Cowboys game. I think I'd go ahead and do it, even though they're playing the Dolphins.
And you have America's sweethearts, too.
Yes, you do.
That's correct.
Since you were giving all these American things out.
All right, how about we take a look back at our picks to click from
by the way,
the game. Yes. Let's go Periscope.
No, I was just
you
looking.
Looked up the cruise?
I looked up Ravens are at the Chiefs this week. That's a pretty good matchup right there, right? That's two undefeated teams.
Lamar Jackson and Mahomes.
Yeah.
And that's a 3 o'clock game?
And that's a 3 o'clock game.
That's probably where
that's a noon game. That's a noon game.
Okay.
Well, they wouldn't do Packers because it's a home game for Packers. That's a Fox game, right? That would be Fox. If Packers are playing the Broncos.
Well, in the past, the road team dictated the networks, but they don't do that. There's a lot of trade-offs now, and so it's hard to tell. I got to find my schedule, and I've got the list.
And Rams with the Browns too. By the way,
I'll look it up.
That's a night game. I'm sorry, that's a Sunday night game.
Oh, so they've got that's how the networks jumped on this Browns bandwagon. They got the Monday night game, and now they turn around and they've got a Sunday night game after opening the season with a 20-point loss to Tennessee.
Right, exactly.
Hey, it's early,
so by next Sunday night they could be 0-3.
Exactly.
Still might get it together.
That's why they do it early in the season. That's why those teams that are
the hot ones.
Yeah, they want to go. Okay, let's ride this bandwagon while there's still a bandwagon to ride.
The Packer game is on Fox, Brian.
Packer game's on Fox?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and Pittsburgh, San Francisco is a CBS game. Houston and the Chargers is a CBS game. We're going to go ahead and assign Romo to the Dallas game.
There you go.
New Orleans, Seattle.
Yeah.
That's CBS. See that
ought to be
a Fox. That's the example that they trade them out now. It's not the old school way of doing things now.
It's not the Madden way.
Yeah. I bet you they send that crew up to Seattle.
Yeah,
for that game.
Because they thought that Drew Brees was still playing.
And that would have been a 3.
That's a 3:25
game.
Yeah. So that's probably the national game right there.
Yep.
Saints, Seahawks, and Seattle's 2-0 now after going into Pittsburgh and knocking Big Ben out for the season. Although they had nothing to do with it.
They twisted his elbow, huh? So you were getting ready.
All right, the picks to click. Brian Broaddus, Tyrone Crawford.
Yeah, give him a tip of the cap to DeMarcus Lawrence for getting him home on that one. That was a great rush. That was a
he just took out the interior of the line.
He took the whole line out.
Well-executed twist stunt, and Crawford did a nice job of coming tight on the play, playing inside at that tackle spot. They got Crawford down inside. They got Lawrence down inside. They got Collins inside, and then they had a really, like I say, it was just a clean run off the edge right there. So, I thought that he would have an opportunity or two in this game. It's nice to see him get that sack off that play.
You could argue that was the play of the game, man, because you force a punting situation there.
It's a turning point in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then a few plays later, Devin Smith.
That ignited the offense right after that.
Yep.
All right, Rob Phillips, you recall who your pick to click was?
It was Connor Williams.
It was Connor Williams.
And like Brian said, it wasn't all bad, but was it also Dak's interception where the initial pressure came from Deron Payne up the middle.
Yeah,
so,
he beat, and it was just bad body position and balance by Connor Williams on that play. He got overextended. He didn't get the help he did. Now, later in the game, they started helping him a little bit more.
Frederick turned the other way.
Yeah, and Frederick turned the other way to help Martin, which you probably don't ever need to do. Just let. Williams. It was just, and it was a great job by Prescott to even get out of the way and even to have a chance on the play. If he could have just torqued his body a little bit more, maybe got the ball outside a little bit more. Cobb was running hard to try and get to a spot. There was a window there, but it was a tough throw, tough catch, and unfortunately, when you throw the ball in the middle of the field and it gets tipped, sometimes it ends up to be an interception. That was just a bad part of it right there.
I also had two because I had Jason Witten on
You
the
took
pregame
two.
show.
He said,
okay.
you did say on the pregame show. I remember you saying that.
Last time Jason Witten had back-to-back touchdowns was 2017 against the Giants and the Redskins.
You said that, yeah.
I knew you would love that, Bill.
Yeah, that is
fun
good.
fact there
I wonder
for
if they played the Dolphins the next week. I know they did not play the Dolphins
They did
the next
not.
week. That was
I'm going to guess they
2017.
did not.
Yeah.
No, Tony Romo played the Dolphins. Remember when he came back from the injury? That's when we went to Miami for that trip. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Mickey, your call. Who you had?
Mm-hmm.
You had Zeke.
That's right.
Way to go out on a limb on that one.
Well, everybody probably thought he was only going to get 15 carries. I told you he was ready to go.
He was ready to go, no doubt about it.
There was a steady diet of Zeke in that game, and I had Van Der Esch, so I'll take credit for that play that you
How many
cited earlier.
tackles did he have in the game?
Team stats, Van Der Esch.
Since you've got my stats,
He had 5 total.
5 tackles.
Five
And they were
tackles.
the biggest tackles of the game,
Yeah.
let me tell you.
Jalen Smith
That's
led the
good.
team with 11.
11.
Jalen had 11.
He had a
and
better game.
Byron Jones had 8 for the day. So
Well, they kept picking on him.
Okay, so,
First play of the game.
now, okay, in hindsight, who is the offensive and defensive picks to click?
I think Zeke would be
Zeke on offense?
Zeke on
Although
offense.
Dak, you got to...
I'll go with
You know,
Dak Prescott.
but nobody picked the click. I mean,
No, what I'm saying is,
among
if you
our-
could just pick anybody now, who are the top players?
I thought you were saying among our little group.
No.
Come on, he had 4 incompletions.
You have to. I know we're going to do a top 10 list, and I think for the second week in a row, he's clearly the front runner in that. I don't know how you could say he's not.
Right.
Yeah.
He's completed 82.3% of his passes after 2 games, and he's second in the NFL behind Lamar Jackson.
And then throw in a little 42-yard run for some seasoning. You know? I mean, really, he's playing the position as well as about as well as you can play it, honestly. Now, defensively, pick to click. Who you got?
Who
in this game?
I throw Byron Jones.
I was going to say Byron Jones. I thought somebody would jump in there and say him, but I'll say Byron Jones. I respect what Jalen Smith did. I was kind of hoping that Jalen Smith and Van Der Esch, those guys were going to do this last week against the Giants. But nice job by Jalen playing this week. But Byron Jones, he had no training camp. No, I mean he's basically out there, working on his own by himself. When no one's watching, and he's. He came back. Him, Britt Brown did a great job. He looks comfortable the way he's moving. He's driving on the football. He's being physical when he has to. The back shoulder throw I thought was a really good pass on the goal line. It was tough. He just didn't get his head around quick enough. But overall, Byron Jones to me, you're talking about a guy, like I said, not any training camp practice at all, and has gone out there in week 2 and had 8 tackles and was knocking down balls and
How
stuff
many
like.
breakups did he have?
1.
One?
His opening play of the game.
Yeah.
right?
I thought he had
Terry
another
McLaurin deep.
I thought he had another one over the middle.
That young fella is a tough cover, by the way.
Yeah.
And in a shoestring tackle, too, on 3rd down early in the game as well.
No, that play he made on Paul Richardson not to give him – it's 3rd and 3, and they throw a crossing route, and he gets picked. I mean, literally, he gets picked by the tight end, and he fights through the pick to get over to make the tackle. I mean, him and Woods over there together, and Xavier Woods, that's a good thing.
You think they saw him starting and they said, okay, let's see if he can run?
It's a terrible game plan. It's a terrible game plan. I guess because Awuzie didn't do anything. I mean, Awuzie had a very quiet game for him. Not having to do. I mean,
I don't even think they hardly threw that.
He had 1 tackle in the game. But
I think you're right, Mick. Sorry. Brian.
Yeah, no, they did. They obviously. I mean, I think it's a. To me, I say it's a bad plan, but I understand. But I just feel like, though, to me, the guy that I didn't feel like played very well, if we want to be honest, is Brown. I don't think he played very well. He made a couple of plays, but he also missed some plays in space that I thought that he normally makes, and that's the problem there. When he's not tackling well, you notice it, and I think it happened to him a couple of different times on some stuff. But they him and Lewis and those guys at secondary, I think overall did a pretty good job.
Okay, it's Monday. Tuesday's a big day for roster maneuverings around the league. Let's take a look ahead when we come back here on Talkin' Cowboys.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
It's time for Tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup, and now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper Soft Coolers at OtterBox.com.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving?
Imagine a surging river of ice-cold Dr. Pepper, roaring with carbonated mists of desire. You're dangling above it, upside down, like a fishing lure in the wind. 23 flavors tickle your nose, but the river is too far away to taste. Dr. Pepper calls to you. You.
Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Hey, I think you only have one day left to go to Get Jack Black and get your Pit Boss, the anti-perspirant.
Yeah, that's it.
I knew this had a chance.
Perspirant. Deodorant. 2 for $26. Go to getjackblack.com. I couldn't find my read fast enough.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't read that?
No.
That was an ad lib?
You think you didn't?
That was from memory.
You thought he just
You don't think that was a clean read?
Yeah.
No.
If that was a read, we need to reread.
Now, we could have done the.
We tell Douglas, stop, Douglas. We'll do
the closer razor. We could have done that.
Perspirant?
No, perspirant.
Yeah.
Well, you could talk to Mickey.
That's right.
Of course you could talk to Mickey.
Or Mickey could talk to us. All right, around the league, what might happen this week? Let's first address the Minka Fitzpatrick rumors out there.
Well, they've admitted that they talked. Am I correct about that, Mickey?
I didn't hear it from anybody, but I've seen it. So
Stephen Jones,
he spoke in generalities on the
He was on the radio.
He didn't name names at all. He said,
but he says he talks to a lot of people.
We're always having conversations,
which means that that they're always going to have conversations. So I was told though that there's 3 teams involved, and the Cowboys are not one of them.
Okay,
so there's teams willing to give a first-round pick.
Well, then have at it.
So that's what I was told.
And as far as, with the Antoine Woods injury, how does that affect things on the defensive line for the Cowboys going forward?
That's a nose tackle.
Yes.
And not Tristan Hill, who is an under tackle. So be interesting to see what happens with.
He may have to be active because if Tyrone Crawford isn't ready to go,
right.
And that's the other.
I don't know that you want Hyder or Joe Jackson playing.
Hyder played under
a
tackle
lot inside.
Yeah, Hyder played under tackle yesterday late in that game when they were rushing the passer.
Can Covington play the nose?
Covington is the nose.
He is the nose.
In addition to so
he is the nose.
But he can play 3 as well. He can play either spot.
He can play
for you.
either spot.
So you've got Malik, Covington,
maybe Crawford,
maybe Hyder can mix in there.
Right,
Hill's going to be active.
He's
going to be active.
Yeah. So
he was nearly active this week. He was real close,
Yeah.
and at the last minute they decided to do it the way they did last week.
Okay,
That
so
he practiced a lot better.
Yeah.
So if Covington's your nose, then who is the next guy in?
On the nose?
Yep.
They don't have one.
They don't have one right now.
So in an emergency, though, I mean, if
Malik has done it.
Malik has done it.
Malik
in the
has done it,
past.
yeah,
So
in
he
the
would
past.
slide over.
He
and
would, yeah.
which would open up a spot for Tristan Hill.
Which opened a spot for Tristan Hill, and then you could play Hyder at the 3. You could also play Joe Jackson. We haven't seen it, but they talk about him being able to play the 3.
Yep.
You know, it's interesting. We talk about the depth on the defensive line and the versatility, but when you really look at it, as far as that one technique,
right.
You had Woods and Covington, and that was basically it.
Right.
But they were also thinking in nickel situations.
Nickel, yeah.
You could
Nickels
play Covington and Crawford
sure,
inside.
Sure. I mean, this is the base we're talking about.
Right.
So.
But base, you really only had one backup at the nose.
Yeah. So then the Tyrone Crawford injury situation, and with Robert Quinn coming back now with full uniform in hand as he heads back into the facility.
Yeah, he did. He has pads and helmet ready to go.
So what does this mean for Taco Charlton this week?
I said this last week, and I believe it to be true. And again, this is my opinion on this only. But if they, in fact, if he was going to be a healthy scratch this week, they need to move on. And, the roster spot, I don't think I shouldn't say this, but I will. If they need the spot and they don't feel like releasing anybody else, if they feel like that, hey, the guys we have, we're not going to use Taco, he's not part of our plans, then they just need to cut bait and move on. I can understand trying to trade him, but teams kind of see the situation right now and they're like, well, what are we going to give him unless somebody doesn't want to fight for him on waivers or claim his contract or all that stuff. So to me, I kind of feel like, though, that if they are so set on their roster that we do not want to give up Brandon Knight or anybody else that might be the 52nd or 53rd player, then they just need to move on from Taco. I mean, it's going to be detrimental to him. It's going to be detrimental to the team. And then, get Robert Quinn in there and go your route.
Because it's interesting, like, where else are they really deep position-wise? Where you mentioned Brandon Knight, he's a backup interior lineman.
Or Redmond, they don't want to give up guys. I mean, they don't want to give up any of their offensive linemen. I don't blame them. I don't blame them because those offensive linemen go. They just go. They and especially a guy like if Redmond, I was told if Redmond were to get released, there's got teams that would be interested in him.
Well, that's the guy they were trying to trade.
Yeah.
Probably no one gave him what they thought
what they want, what he's worth, right? So it's better to have him being active every week. But if they're not going to use Taco, and they're not going to practice him like he's going to play. Mickey's right about Hill. Hill practiced really well last week, from what talking to some folks, and Taco doesn't get the opportunities. He didn't get the opportunities to practice with the with the ones, or he gets opportunities with the twos. So if he's not getting that, before long it's going to turn into, okay, once again you've got this disgruntled player. Should we move on? Yeah, you should move on. Don't wreck what you have in that locker room because a player being disgruntled. And maybe they'll be stubborn about it, but if it was me and you're not going to do anything with him, I would find a way to move on, get Robert Quinn on, and give everybody a fresh start that way.
So my only reservation is, and I wanted to make sure I had this right, how many sacks do they have after 2 games?
2.
With all this depth.
Yeah.
Got 2 sacks, 1 a game.
Yep, that's true.
And the pressure hasn't been really good. Now, I understand their worry Their worry is he doesn't play the run all that well, and the other guys do.
And the other
so
guys,
that's fine.
And there's guys ahead of him so
Right.
far that can play inside. And
Right.
So there's a couple reasons there.
So
Yeah.
that had a lot to do with him still not being active. But again, if you're not getting sacks, well, okay, Quinn, is he going to come back and light it up after missing? How many weeks will it be?
They feel better
6?
about.
I don't think they feel like it's going to take him long.
They feel better about Quinn, obviously, than they do Taco.
Well, no, I understand that. But I'm just saying, you're not going to send him out there for 50 snaps. Somebody else is going to have to play defensive end, especially if Crawford can't go.
Well, that's Joe Jackson. I mean, they've got
Yeah,
guys.
I know you got guys, but how well? That's the thing. Now, if they think they're all better than Taco, then fine. All right, let's go. But I haven't seen it.
We've got tomorrow to discuss that. I want to make.
Well, why'd you bring it up?
Because we
let me ask you a question real quick. At the end of this, because I want to finish this. If what you're saying is true, Mickey, then why are the coaching staff? Why are they not giving Taco?
I just explained why.
Why?
Because the other guys were versatile and they don't trust them playing the run.
And they don't trust Taco playing the run?
Yeah.
So he's gonna get more practice time this week?
No, I didn't say that. I'm just saying the other guys haven't excelled to the point that they're just giving up on him unless he's that bad.
Well,
they got 2 sacks.
He had the best preseason he's ever had since he's been here, and they don't play him.
And
That's all you need to know.
And I told you why.
That's all you need to know.
This is just getting good, and we're out of time.
Exactly.
Oh, we're a minute over.
We'll resume this on Tuesday.
But I do need to clarify, Cowboys-Dolphins is on Fox. Thank you, Stingray. My people at CBS told me it's on CBS.
Oh, no.
There you go.
Man. It's on Fox. So there you go. So Romo's not doing that game. Talk at you tomorrow on Talkin' Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?